to promote the use, when we discuss Maroons, not just to kind of speak about Ghana, because it's not just Ghana that we come from. My mum done African DNA testing many years ago now, and at least 47% of our DNA, my matrilineal DNA, goes back to Mali. And at that time, though, Burkina Faso, that part of Burkina Faso would have been part of the Volta region in Ghana. So as we've changed, as borders have changed, Burkina Faso is a small country between Mali and Ghana. But at times of the Akan Empire, there would have been one empire with varying different tribes. And I think what we find when we see the ASAFO or the Ghanaian kingship and governance rituals and ceremonies, that's what led Maroon communities in Jamaica. And it's not the same in, there are a few, where's the other one? There are strong Maroon communities in Caribbean. The reason why I mentioned the Sarameka and the Okanasi is because the president, the vice president of Suriname is a Maroon. So what we find, in nowhere else in the world do we have Maroons acting in a political way. So that's why I think it's important to mention them, because for me, in terms of modern day rebellion and resistance, they have not only kept the culture and the spiritual systems, but they work from a place of resistance and rebellion as it relates to how they engage with the rest of the world, which I think is important. And that they might be quite well known among Maroon communities, but I don't think that Suriname Maroons are well known enough. The Sarameka, Okanasi, the Juka.
I never heard.
There are many tribes in Suriname that self-identify as Maroons, and they are a mainstay in the mainstream culture of Suriname in a way that Maroon culture, I mean, obviously Queen Nanny is a national hero. I think the only female national hero in Jamaica.
So I heard that the other day.
And out of all the ones that you've mentioned, when you say Suriname, I can't even know if I'm saying it right, but that's the one that I feel drawn to more, to find out and to learn more about for some reason.
No, I mean, to be fair, when I found out that the Suriname were taking a delegation to Ghana, like if I had the resources, I would have made my way over there. Because I'm going to go into the modern day Maroon. And I think it's important to mention matriarchy. So I'm going to read this briefly. I'll show the screen. Viewers will be able to see this on the screen.
Right.
Matriarchy and the family lineage and the divine feminine. So, on the continent, female title holders being placed in the highest levels of political and spiritual order were and remain a common feature of ancient and later post-colonial African political systems. In a Khan culture, the power with the divine sits with the mother. So what you'll see on the screen is an image of my mum. This was in Charlestown in 2022 when I was coronated as Chief of Culture, Heritage and Development. I wasn't able to be there, but that's my mum going into the bush with the bay leaves. And then what you'll see as well is what we believe, again, oral tradition, is one of the few photos I've got of my oldest ancestor. This picture would have been taken in the early 1800s, and we only know her as great-grandmama G. We don't know her full name, but we know she left Jamaica in the early 1800s to fight for Maroons in Panama. So there's been a book written, African Maroons of Panama, and I mean, there's a rich history in Panama, to be honest, and I'm endeavouring to do more research now.
So she went to Panama?
Yeah.
In the early 1800s?
Early 1800s, because the picture I think would have been taken when she left, and I think photography started in like the early 1800s anyway, so it would have been right at the beginning of the use of photography at that point. I think I've spoken about Queen Nana Ni. In terms of modern day Maroons, we've got Auntie Gloria, Mama G, and she's the first Gamang to be coronated by the Suriname Maroons, the Okanasi Maroons, in 2012. And that was actually the first, 2012 was the first time. Gamang is a leader or king. leader is probably the best way to kind of, because it doesn't, even though it doesn't denote a masculine title. Auntie Gloria is the first woman to be coronated as a gamang. So she was given, I guess, guardianship over the whole of the island, whole of Jamaica in 2012. So she currently lives in Moortown. She's the head of the Indigenous Women's Group. And to be honest, there was a film called Reimagining Queen Nanny made, I think, in 2013. It would have been a year after she was coronated, and she played Queen Nanny in a short film. And I think that's what kind of shot her to prominence specifically. But the reason why I mentioned her, and I'm going to go on to mention a few more, is that I don't think women are celebrated enough within our culture. And I think in terms of leadership as well, I don't think women are celebrated and promoted enough. So we've got Auntie Gloria, Mama G, and we've got also Kim Marcia Douglas. She actually passed last month, but she was the first female acting colonel for at least 100 years. So even though I speak about matriarchy being important, and there have been some really prominent Maroon women over the years, very few have wanted to take up political leadership.
She was a colonel.
Colonel Kim Douglas. I actually want to read this actually because she passed.
Why can't a woman be a colonel?
Yeah, she passed.
In what? In what? The Jamaican army?
No, colonel of the community.
What's colonel? Isn't
So
that like
it's the first time
military title.
It is.
So
Yeah,
usually,
this is what I don't understand.
So
it's normally
usually,
male.
so usually we use the word chief,
Right.
and because of her, so it's not a militaristic fight, but she, very powerful personality, very militant character. So even though I think Colonel Pink in Scott's Hall was also a colonel, because of his personality, his
I
character.
don't understand. A colonel in what's the as opposed to being a chief.
It's a title. So she was given chieftaincy. So she was a
Right.
chief of Charlestown,
Right.
like the recognised coronated chief. But her title was colonel. So she chose that.
So it's just a name.
Yeah, I mean,
It's not like a.
She didn't sit at the head of
It's not like a rank. Do you know what I mean? Because that's what I'm thinking when you say colonel. I'm thinking of a rank.
She didn't sit at the head of a military group.
Right.
in
Yeah.
that sense.
This is what I'm understanding.
But Charlestown and Moortown are very close, and Moortown historically was the place where we'd used ASAFO Yard sits in Moortown. So it's a place in which most of our military tactics were led from. So she's actually a descendant of a military part of the community.
And in that community, using that type of term makes a lot of sense. Okay. Right.
So I need to read this because she passed, and I need to read this. As a leader and spokesperson for one of the several Maroon communities in Jamaica, Acting Colonel Douglas stood as the first woman to occupy any such position of authority among Maroons in present day. As Indigenous women are reclaiming their rights as important decision makers and contribution to community development, Acting Colonel Douglas carried a vision of prosperity through social and economic gains for her community. The Colonel's expertise included, but what was not limited to, Indigenous knowledge, climate change, sustainable development, community tourism, and the rights and protection and the care of Indigenous peoples. So most chiefs will sit on councils globally. And when I speak a little bit later on around some of my experiences, it was that being put into a council that put me in contact with some of the Ghanaian chiefs, the Sierra Leone chiefs, and the global chieftaincy. So at the moment, there has been an effort over maybe the last decade to unify and bring together the disparate Maroon communities globally under kind of a Pan-African governance.
So that's happening. Like there's like a board of Maroon type thing happening. So all Maroon communities worldwide will come under like one stateship of sorts.
I don't want to say all, but most Maroon communities will be a part. Will have a representative on the councils.